Have you ever wondered what it takes to make someone change so drastically in their relationships that it's like they're a different person in those relationships? If you have wondered that, I'm going to teach you here today how strong of a hit somebody has to take to really change, because it takes deep experience to alter a person's attachment style. Attachment style being the way they connect other human beings to give and receive love, or connect other human beings just to get their needs met in an endless game. So if you are looking at attachment styles and you're curious about if they can change, and do people's attachment styles change over the course of their life? Today, we're going to answer that question. I'm going to show you how it happens. I'm going to show you why it happens. And if you want to make it happen or undo something that has happened, I'm going to show you in the second half of this video exactly how to do that. Now, I've got a number of resources that can help you with this. I am Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist after all. So if you need help on any of this, you can check my website, adamlanesmith.com. I've got a ton of resources on there for fixing attachment styles, for changing these things for the better. We'll talk about changing for the worse as well. And if you need any other help, you can click the About tab over there, contact me through there, or drop me a comment below and just ask for help. I'd be more than happy to answer questions down in the comments or get you connected with some resources to take care of your attachment. You let me know. So really quick, what are attachment styles and why do they matter? And then how do we go about changing them? An attachment style is the broken, usually, version of what you should be doing to connect to other human beings. Now, there's a secure style, which is great, but when people talk about attachment styles, they're not usually looking into the secure style. Secure style says, I can connect to other people in good, loving relationships with low stress, knowing that they're going to meet my needs and I'm going to meet their needs. It's going to be reciprocal sharing. It's simply helpful, and this is what human beings do. I don't have to be scared of me, and I don't have to be scared of them. That's a secure attachment style. The majority of people who are probably watching this do not have that style. Instead, you have one of the three insecure styles. Anxious style that says you are a problem, that you don't deserve to be loved, that there's something wrong with you on the inside everyone else can see, and they're going to reject you for it because you are just not worth their time. If that's an experience you can really connect to and resonate with, that's usually anxious attachment style. You have to earn approval from others so you won't be abandoned. Now, there's avoidant style, which says everybody else has the problem. I don't, but I have to manage their feelings because everyone is innately selfish. They have an ongoing feelings meter that determines if they're going to be moral or not. And if that meter gets too low, they will turn on me and betray me or hurt me or exploit me. So I have to manage other people's feelings and make them happy, or I need to stay away from them and avoid them. I'm going to avoid intimacy. I'm going to avoid commitment, and I'm going to avoid getting hurt. That's the avoidance style. And yes, there is a blend of the two. Most people ask me, is there a way to be right in the middle? Yes. Anxious and avoidant, also called disorganized style, which really is, I'm not sure if I'm the problem or the other person's problem or both of us are the problem, but I cannot stay still. Everything that changes is like sandpaper on my skin. I'm hypersensitive to everything in my environment, and if anything even feels like it's about to change for the bad, I'm out of here. I'm going to burn the place down, leap out the window, but then I'm going to feel bad, so I'm going to kick in the door and come back in and beg for forgiveness while the house is actually still on fire. That's often the disorganized style, and nobody suffers from it more than they do. It's not about being a bad person, it's about being a scared person. Now, all of these attachment styles you're not just born with, these are forged in childhood with repeated experiences that show you what you should, obviously, hopefully not, but what you should expect from other human beings around you, at least in your immediate family circles. This gets generalized to everybody else around you out in the world. Now, you go out into the world with your attachment style, and it can change through experience. It can get cemented through experience, and you will usually bias your relationships to serve the assumption you've already made, that I am worthless, no one will ever love me, so you connect to people who treat you like you're worthless and no one will ever love you, and they exploit you and just endlessly process it. And then, or they don't, and you get abandoned, and then you say, well, I was right, it was my fault. Avoidant people tend to avoid everyone and then only connect to people who want shallow connections, and then those people do turn on them and they say, wow, I knew it. I was right to be afraid. And disorganized people destroy so many of their relationships, but they also connect with so many unstable people that they end up getting destroyed. So they say, wow, I was right. Now, where attachment styles start to change is where you experience something completely out of the norm that you weren't expecting. It could be that you get with a partner who is brutally vicious, worse than you anticipated, and they hurt you so bad for so long that they form a different type of attachment style that becomes complicated. This is usually how people become the disorganized style or functionally disorganized. They start off as anxious, they pair up with a really brutally narcissistic gaslighter, and they end up over time being anxious and avoidant because one was not enough to stay safe. Avoidant people who get out-avoidanced and also get gaslighted and controlled and oxytocin bombed through love bombing, they often will develop an anxious piece in that relationship as well and become functionally both. And over time, through wounding and wounding and wounding, it can make them more avoidant, or it can make them in a blend of the two, anxious and avoidant. Disorganized people are both, they're already there because they're both, but they can get cemented and worse and worse and worse with more and more wounding on top of it, and they can switch from anxious primary to avoidant primary over time. Even secure people can get wounded badly enough that their attachment style begins to slip and they become insecurely attached. Sometimes avoidant, sometimes anxious style. This is especially and most obviously apparent when someone experiences sexual assault as an adult and they suddenly develop the severe traumas and pushing back against other people. They may actually develop a functional avoidant attachment style later in life through those trauma. It really does take something to the level of a traumatic experience to change your attachment style for the worse later in life once it's changed. But the good news is you can also change your attachment style for the positive and heal your attachment style to become more secure. This is about having experiences that alter your brain back in the good direction that you should have been able to build as a child but weren't able to because of your family system. Now, I'm going to jump into some methods for doing that here really quick, but again, I'm going to remind you really fast, on my website, adamlanesmith.com, I have a ton of resources designed just to help you do exactly this. So if you're ready to skip ahead and do that, you can just go to my website and find those resources, or you can listen in and I will give you some guidance on exactly some of the methods you can use to fix this. Methods for fixing your attachment style later in life to the positive is sort of the opposite of having the traumatic negative experiences. One thing that so many people with attachment issues don't do is break out of them and have good, loving, secure connections with human beings. They're so afraid that their anxiety prevents them from doing the things that would fix it. So one thing that they do when they come into my private coaching practice is people with attachment issues decrease their anxiety response. So one of the number one steps you need to follow is to decrease your anxiety response enough that you are able to do the work necessary to confront those fears and have different experiences. If that anxiety is what's holding you back and it's that severe to the point of panic attacks, for example, you need to learn some physical techniques that can take you out of that and give you the buffer you need to do the work that needs to be done. That's usually what's holding you back from changing your experience over time. So once you've managed the anxiety response, what you need to do next is figure out the exact 3 people, maybe 2 people in your life that you can talk to that are going to give you alternate experiences with reliable consistency. This means singling out the people in your life who live their life according to values and principles that are aligned with yours, and they live to them consistently. It's also important to make sure that they have good life goals that they're aiming for so that they're not in conflict with yours. If your life goal is to help other people live better lives and their life goal is to get as much money as they can, even if they have to steal it from their own grandmother, then your life goals are not compatible and probably their moral principles are not either. Now, if you're an anxiously attached person, it may be terrifying to open up to other people because you think you are the problem and you're afraid that any opening up is going to lead immediately to abandonment. Fixing that means opening up to other people and testing if they're really going to abandon you. Your brain may know that they probably won't, but when you experience them accepting you anyway, that's where a lot of the healing takes place. If you're avoidantly attached, your brain thinks other people are going to turn on you when they sense weakness, or when their emotions are not positive enough, or when you just inconvenience them by having real human feelings. It may take an avoidant person longer because they're terrified of other people. Even me, the attachment specialist, and what I'm trying to teach you, they're suspicious that this is going to get them hurt and that it's all a trick. When you can open up to other human beings and share your needs without feeling terrified that they're going to stomp on you for having needs or being vulnerable, that's where avoidant people really begin to heal. And they usually need a follow-up conversation that then discusses, okay, how much is too much? How much honesty is too much? They usually need to hear it a couple of times before it really sinks in. But as they experience it, everything begins to change and they no longer avoid because it feels so good to connect with people. The disorganized style usually needs a blend of a couple of people that you connect with, and they have to fully accept you and be aware of your patterns. Usually the disorganized person has to sabotage one last time and see what the other person does to see if they're going to follow through on their promise, and that's usually what unlocks the better experience and the better attachment. But you've got to have the other person understanding what you're doing and what's going to happen. Through having these alternate experiences, your brain begins to change, and the way that you process attachment and connection, that fundamentally alters how you engage into your relationships. This is why changing your attachment style is so crucial, because you get different outcomes. And then the more that you lean into good attachment and good relationships, the more your brain begins to heal and alter the attachment in that direction. You've leaned into the bad attachment your entire life, and that's why it's so hard to change, because your brain has now built so much belief that that's the only way that things can be. When you change the other way repeatedly over time, it begins cementing a new secure attachment with better bonding and better feelings for you in your relationships every day. This is why it's so crucial to have a good, loving, supportive community of human beings who are capable of secure attachment. If you don't have that, that's one reason I built my Attachment Circle Discord community. I'm going to link that right here, and I'm also going to put it down in the show notes so that you can figure out if that's a good fit for you. I suspect it is, because you need to spend some time around people who are going to be able to accept you. A lot of avoidant people come into our community and then just sort of get the feel of the place and then realize that they can actually open up and connect to other human beings. Then they start opening up out in their daily life with their local people as well. Anxious people come in and they're just relieved to meet a group of people that all feel like it's their problem too, or half of them. And disorganized people come in and they can actually get reality checks. When they're about to burn the place down, they can touch in the group in the urgent channel and say, guys, I'm about to burn it all down. People go, whoa, wait a minute. Jump in the voice chat with me and let me talk you through this for 10 minutes. And then you can decide if you want to burn it to the ground. And they don't after that. That's usually where it starts to work. So if you need a supportive community, you feel like there's no one you can talk to yet, and you want to practice, pop into the Attachment Circle community. Again, I'm going to link that down in the description. Feel free to leave me a comment, ask me any question about that group, and I will be honest with you. So what you need to remember is this: your brain will change based on the experiences that you have. If you continue feeding your brain the same experiences you've had, you're going to get the same outcomes and relationships that you've always had. If you seek out different experiences and have those, you will reprogram your brain to start believing that is normal and what you've experienced was abnormal. This is how you reprogram your brain over time. You probably need some help doing this, figuring out those exact steps, which is why I do coaching for this and I help people through it personally. It's also why I have the private community, so I can guide you through there in questions when you have questions and need help and need support. You need somebody outside of yourself, though, that helps you build these experiences. People always ask me, Adam, can I fix my attachment style all alone if I'm locked in a cage completely by myself where there's no one else around? No. Attachment must be experienced with other people, and the human beings you're experiencing with are the ones who determine which direction you go in. So let me ask you this, and please answer me in the comments. Which direction are you going in right now with your relationships? Deeper into problems or deeper into healing? Problems, healing. Let me know where your life is currently leading you, and we can talk about steps to build that so that you aren't heading in that territory anymore. And while you're leaving that comment, please make sure you subscribe and like the video. It helps support my channel and it spreads the message for people who need to change their attachment style. And as one last reminder, you can find everything I've talked about here on adamlanesmith.com. I want you to make sure that you have the resources you need to fix your attachment, because it can get so much better from here as long as you make sure you have the right experiences.